You looked in the mirror this morning. Be honest, you didn't see a father. You saw a stranger wearing your father's clothes, softer around the middle than you remember. Tired around the eyes and the way sleep doesn't fix anymore. And somewhere underneath that reflection, a voice said the thing you don't say out loud. If something happened right now, if my family actually needed me, could I do anything about it? That question doesn't go away just because you close the bathroom door. Here's what nobody tells you about the extra 20, 30, 40 pounds. It was never really about how you look in a photo. It's about capacity. It's the energy you don't have left for your kids by 7 p.m. It's the stares that wind you. It's the quiet fear that you are becoming furniture in your own house, present but not really there. I'm going to talk to you today about a 4-week shift I've built for men exactly where you're standing right now. Not a diet, not another app, a return to something your body has been begging you to remember. By the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why the version of you sitting there feels this way and exactly what to do about it starting tonight. Stop watching your life happen from the couch. Let's build the man who leads from the front. My name is Dr. Aris Thorne, and this is Primal Unleashed. I didn't get into this work because I love gyms. I got into it because I kept meeting the same man in 100 different bodies, successful at work, drowning at home, strong on paper, soft in the one place that actually counts. And I got tired of watching good men apologize for their own bodies instead of commanding them. So before we go any further, you need to understand the one belief this whole channel is built on, because it's going to explain everything else I say to you today. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature. That's not a slogan I say for effect. That's the actual mechanism behind what's happening to you right now. And it's the actual mechanism behind how you get out of it. Stick with me, because once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you can't keep living the same way. Let's stay in that mirror for a second, because I want you to actually feel this instead of just nodding along. You get up, you handle 100 small emergencies before 8 a.m., the missing shoe, the forgotten homework, the meltdown over the wrong cup. You go to work and perform for 8, 9, 10 hours. You come home and there's nothing left. Not for your partner, not for the 30 minutes on the floor with your kid that used to feel effortless and now feels like a chore you're too depleted to enjoy. You tell yourself it's just a season, just a busy stretch, just until the next deadline, the next quarter, the next school year. But the season never ends. It just compounds. A year goes by, then 3, and one afternoon, your son asks you to play tag in the backyard, and you're out of breath in under a minute, hands on your knees, laughing it off, while some part of you quietly registers what just happened. He's going to remember that, not the excuse, the pause, the wince, the give me a second, buddy. That moment isn't really about fitness. It's about the story your body is telling your children about what a man becomes when life gets hard. And right now, for a lot of good men, that story is he shrank. I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it because I think you already feel it, and I think you're tired of carrying it alone. So let's actually understand why this happened to you, because it was never really your fault. And once you see the mechanism, you'll stop blaming yourself and start correcting it. Here's the part most fitness content gets completely wrong. They tell you that you're lazy, that you need more discipline, more motivation, more grit. That's not what's happening. For most of human history, being a protector and provider was the workout. Carrying water, building shelter, hunting, holing, climbing, sprinting when it mattered. The male body was engineered by hundreds of thousands of years of exactly that kind of demand. Your nervous system, your muscle fibers, your hormonal rhythms, all of it calibrated around real physical load-bearing effort, tied directly to keeping your people alive. Now look at what we replaced that with. A car seat, a desk chair, a couch, an elevator instead of stairs you'd have once taken 2 at a time without thinking. None of that is a moral failure on your part. It's an environment that quietly disarmed you one convenience at a time until the body built for protecting a family started running on a script meant for a creature that never has to fight, climb, carry, or chase anything at all. And your body responds exactly the way you'd expect a powerful machine to respond when you stop demanding anything from it. It downgrades. Less muscle because muscle you don't use is expensive to maintain. Lower baseline energy because there's no signal telling your system it needs to stay ready. A dulled
edge mentally and physically because readiness is a use it or lose it system, and most modern men have been quietly telling their bodies to lose it for years. There's a chemical side to this too, and it matters more than most men realize. A body that never moves under real load quietly lets its testosterone drift lower and its baseline stress hormones sit higher, which is a brutal combination. Less drive, less recovery, more short fuse. That's not a personality change. That's biochemistry responding exactly the way it's designed to respond to a body it no longer believes needs to be strong. And here's the part that should actually make you angry on your own behalf. Almost nobody ever tells fathers this. They just get told to sleep more and stress less, as if sleep and stress exist independently of what a body spends the day doing. It even changes the way you rest. A body that never gets asked to work hard during the day doesn't fall into deep repairing sleep at night the same way. So you lie down exhausted and still wake up tired, which feels like a mystery until you realize you were never actually physically demanding enough to earn the kind of sleep that restores you. And the evenings in between get filled with the easiest available hit of relief, a screen, a scroll, a second helping, because a depleted nervous system reaches for the lowest effort reward it can find. None of that is weakness. It's a body doing exactly what an under-demanded body does. Change the demand and all of it starts correcting itself, usually faster than the weight on the scale does. That dulling is not who you are, it's what happened to you, which means it can be reversed and faster than you probably think. I want to name something else because I think it's the part nobody says out loud in these videos, and it deserves to be said plainly. This doesn't just cost you, it costs the people closest to you in ways that are easy to miss because they never show up as a single dramatic moment. Think about the last time you and your partner were supposed to have a night to yourselves, and you spent half of it apologizing for how tired you were. Think about how much of your patience with your kids depends on how much you have left in the tank and how little that tank holds these days.
A depleted man isn't a worse husband or a worse father because he loves less. He's a worse husband and father because he has less to give, physically, and everyone around him quietly adjusts their expectations downward to match it. Your partner stops asking you to do the active things you used to do together. Your kids stop asking you to play because some part of them has already learned that dad gets tired fast. Nobody says this out loud. It just becomes the new normal, one lowered expectation at a time, until it doesn't even register as loss anymore. That's the real cost of the extra weight and the missing energy, not the mirror, the quiet renegotiation of what your family believes you're capable of. There's a longer version of this cost, too, one that stretches past this year and into who your kids become. Children don't learn what strength looks like from a lecture. They learn it from watching what their father actually does with his body day after day when nobody's asking him to perform for anyone. If what they watch is a man who's too tired to play, too depleted to move, too checked out to chase them around the yard, that becomes their quiet, unspoken definition of what a grown man's body is for. And if what they watch instead is a father who gets up and does hard physical things on purpose, not for show, just because that's what he does, that becomes their definition too. You are not just changing your own body over these 4 weeks. You're editing the example your children will carry into their own adulthood, whether you mean to or not. There's a reason I built this channel around the image of the silverback, and it's not just because it sounds strong. If you've ever actually watched one in the wild, the thing that stands out isn't aggression, it's calm. A silverback doesn't need to prove anything to the rest of the group. He doesn't posture, he doesn't panic, he doesn't waste energy performing strength he doesn't have. He's simply unmistakably capable, and because everyone around him can feel that capability, the entire group relaxes around him. Children play near him. The group organizes its sense of safety around his presence without him ever raising his voice. That's the model I want for you. Not aggression, not some exaggerated chest-beating version of masculinity, a quiet, physical readiness that your family can feel, the same way animals can feel which member of their group is actually capable of protecting them. Your kids don't need you to lift the most weight in a gym. They need to feel on some pre-verbal level that the man in the house could handle whatever showed up. Right now, if you're honest, that feeling has gone quiet in your house. This program is how you bring it back, deliberately, in 4 weeks, starting from exactly where you are today. So if the problem is a mismatch between your environment and the machine you were built to be, the fix isn't more time in a soft, safe-seated world. It's the opposite.
It's giving your body back the kind of movement it was designed to organize itself around. I call this primal movement, and it comes down to three things most modern training completely ignores. First, carry something heavy, not a machine handle, a real object held in your hands or on your shoulder while you walk. This single movement rebuilds grip, core bracing, posture, and a kind of full-body toughness that isolated exercises can't touch. Fathers who add heavy carries twice a week report, almost universally, that the thing that changes first isn't how they look. It's that they stop getting winded picking up their kid, hauling groceries, or wrestling a pouch up a staircase. Second, get off the ground and get back up under control repeatedly. Modern life almost never asks your body to go from floor to standing with any real effort. That single transition is one of the most honest tests of total body strength there is. Practice it deliberately, and something shifts. Your hips wake up, your lower back stops complaining, and a kind of foundational confidence returns that you didn't know you'd lost. Third, put in short bursts of real intensity, not an hour of grinding cardio, 90 seconds of something hard, a sprint, a hard push, a fast climb, followed by real rest. This is the switch that tells your hormonal system, in a language it actually understands, that we are still the kind of animal that might need to move fast to protect something. That signal alone starts correcting the low-energy, low-drive fog that so many fathers just accept as their new normal. Let me tell you about a man I worked with. I'll call him Marcus because his story isn't unique, it's common, which is exactly why it matters. Marcus was 41, 2 kids under 10, a demanding job, and about 35 pounds he'd stopped even trying to explain. He wasn't lazy. He was depleted in the specific way I just described. A strong man running on a script with nothing left to burn. We didn't start with 18 minutes 3 times a week. We started with 18 minutes 3 times a week. A carry, a ground to standing drill, and one short burst of real effort. Within 12 days, he told me something that stuck with me. He'd chased his daughter across a playground without needing to stop. Not because he transformed his whole body in 12 days, because his nervous system had already started remembering what it was built for. That's the part people miss. The change you feel first is never the mirror. It's capacity. It's showing up for the version of fatherhood you actually want to be living, instead of the one you've been apologizing for. I want to tell you about a second man, too, because his story shows a different side of this, and I think you'll recognize yourself in at least one of these two. I'll call him James. James wasn't especially out of shape when he came to me. He actually looked fine in clothes. What he told me, almost embarrassed to say it out loud, was that he felt like he was disappearing inside his own marriage. He and his wife would sit in the same room every night, both scrolling, both too drained to actually talk. He didn't need a transformation photo. He needed his brain back. 4 weeks later, the thing James mentioned first wasn't his body. It was that he and his wife had started taking a short walk together most evenings because he actually had the energy to suggest it instead of collapsing onto the couch the second the kids were down. He told me the fog he assumed was just what your 40s felt like had genuinely lifted. That's what happens when you put real physical demand back into a body that's been running on idle. The mind doesn't stay foggy while the body wakes back up. They're the same system. I built the Silverback Transformation around 4 weeks specifically because that's roughly the window it takes for these 3 movement patterns to stop feeling like exercise and start feeling like you again. The version of you that existed before a decade of convenience quietly rewired your baseline. Here's what an actual session looks like, so this isn't some abstract promise. You start with about 3 minutes of deliberate movement to wake up the joints that have been sitting in a chair all day. Hips, shoulders, the mid-back most men have completely lost mobility in without ever noticing.
Then you move into the primal circuit for that day, built around whichever of the 3 pillars we're emphasizing that week, done at a pace that matches where your body actually is, not where some influencer's body is. You finish with a short, sharp push, the kind of 90-second effort I mentioned earlier, because that's what flips the switch on the hormonal signal that tells your system it's still needed. Start to finish, 20 to 30 minutes. No wasted movements, no filler, nothing in there that isn't earning its place. Some days it happens in the garage before anyone else is awake. Some days it happens in the backyard while the kids ride bikes nearby. It's built to fit into an actual life, not to demand you rearrange one around it. Week 1 is about waking the machine back up, teaching your body those 3 foundational movements correctly without wrecking yourself in the process, because half the men who fail at this quit in the first 10 days from doing too much, too fast with bad form. We don't do that here.
Week 2 is where capacity starts returning. You'll notice it in ordinary moments, stairs, play, the end of a long day, and you've got something left in the tank you haven't had in years. Week 3 layers in real intensity, because by this point, your body is ready to be asked for more. And this is usually where men tell me their sleep changes, their focus sharpens, and something in their posture, literally the way they carry themselves, starts to shift. Week 4 is about integration, locking in a rhythm you can actually sustain with a demanding job and a house full of people who need you, so that this doesn't become another program you finish and abandon. It becomes how you move for the rest of your life. I also want to tell you plainly what this program is not, because I think that matters as much as what it is. This isn't a bodybuilding routine designed to add slabs of mirror muscle you'll never actually use. It isn't built around some extreme diet or a cabinet full of supplements you have to buy separately to see results, and it isn't a punishing, ego-driven grind designed to leave you sore and broken for the sake of proving something. It's the opposite of all of that. It's the minimum effective dose of real functional demand your body needs to remember what it's capable of. Nothing more, nothing wasted, nothing that doesn't directly serve the man you're trying to become for your family. I built it this way because I know exactly who's listening to this. You don't have 2 hours a day. You don't want another complicated system with 40 exercises in a spreadsheet. You want something built for a man with real responsibilities that respects your time and still demands enough from your body to actually change it. That's the entire program. 4 movement sessions a week, roughly 20 to 30 minutes each. No gym membership required. Every session is built around equipment you likely already have or can improvise at home. A heavy bag, a couple of jugs filled with water or sand, a sturdy backpack, floor space the size of a doorway. If you've got a set of stairs and a patch of grass, you have almost everything you need. Full programming for all 4 weeks, the exact movement standards Marcus, James, and dozens of fathers like them have used, and a simple way to track your own capacity so you can watch the evidence build week over week instead of just hoping it's working. You're not doing this alone in the dark either. Every man who starts gets a simple way to log what he's doing and see it stack up week over week, which matters more than people expect, because motivation fades, but a visible record of getting stronger doesn't need motivation to keep pulling you forward. On the days you don't feel like showing up, the evidence you've already built does the convincing for you. I'll put the link in the description. If you've read this far into your own reflection and you already know which man you want to be 6 weeks from now, that's where you start. I want to address the things you're probably thinking right now, because I've heard all of them from every single father who eventually became one of the best results I've ever seen. The first is, I don't have time. I understand that more than you think. That's exactly why this isn't built around an hour-long session you have to protect on your calendar like a second job. It's 20 to 30 minutes, 4 times a week. You already spend more than that scrolling before bed or standing in front of the fridge deciding what to eat. This isn't asking you to find new hours in your day. It's asking you to redirect a few you're already losing. The second is, I've tried programs before and they didn't stick. Most of those programs failed you, not the other way around. They were built for someone with unlimited time and energy, then handed to a man with neither. This one was built from the ground up around exactly your constraints. A demanding job, a house that needs you, and a body that's been running on empty. It's designed to fit into the life you actually have, not the life a fitness influencer pretends everyone has. The third is, what if I start and I still can't keep up? That fear is normal, and it's exactly why week 1 isn't intense. It's foundational. You're not thrown into the deep end, you're taught the 3 movement patterns properly at a pace your body can actually absorb, so that by the time real intensity shows up in week 3, you're ready for it instead of broken by it. Every man I've walked through this started exactly where you are right now, unsure, a little rusty, and worried he'd left it too late. None of them had. And the fourth, which I hear constantly from men in their 40s and 50s, my body isn't what it used to be. I've got an old injury. I'm not sure I can move the way I used to. Here's the truth about that. This program isn't built around a single rigid standard everyone has to hit. It's built around your own starting point, measured against your own progress. A heavy carry looks different for a man managing a bad knee than it does for a man with none of that history. And that's fine, because the goal was never to match some stranger standard. The goal was to be measurably more capable in 4 weeks than you are today, starting from wherever today actually is. I've walked men in their 50s through this exact program who hadn't done real physical work in over a decade, and the pattern is always the same. The first week feels humbling, the second week feels possible, and by the 4th week, they're doing things they'd quietly written off years earlier. Here's the truth underneath all of those excuses. They're not really about time or past failures or old injuries or fear of struggling. They're about whether you believe you're still capable of being that man. And the only way to actually answer that question is to give your body 4 weeks to prove it to you. I also want to say something about waiting, because I think it's the quiet trap most men fall into. Nobody decides in one dramatic moment to let themselves go. It happens one skipped session, one I'll start Monday, one this month is just too busy at a time. And the frustrating truth is none of those decisions feel significant when you make them. They only add up to something significant when you look back at 10 years of them stacked on top of each other.
The man who starts today and the man who waits another year aren't just 12 months apart. He's 12 months further from his kids remembering him as capable, 12 months further into a body that's a little harder to wake back up each year he waits. That's not pressure for the sake of pressure. That's just how compounding works in either direction. There's a version of you 1 year from today who either started this week or didn't. One of those men is carrying his kids up the stairs without thinking about it, sleeping better, standing a little straighter, quietly more present in his own life. The other is having this exact same conversation with himself in front of a different mirror, a year further into the drift, telling himself the same thing he's telling himself right now, that he'll start when things calm down. Things don't calm down. They just get delayed by a year you don't get back. I want you to picture something for a second, because this is the part that actually matters more than any workout. Picture the version of you a month from now who picks his kids straight up off the ground without thinking about it, who plays until the kids give up first, not him, who stands a little taller walking into a room, not because he's performing confidence, but because his body has quietly started backing it up. Picture your partner noticing before you even say anything, not because you look different in a shirt, but because you are different in the room, more present, more there, less like a man running on fumes, and more like the steady, capable presence your family actually needs, standing between them and whatever the world throws at them. Picture the ordinary Tuesday 6 weeks from today. You get home and instead of collapsing onto the couch and telling yourself you'll be more present tomorrow, you're already on the floor, building a block tower that's about to get knocked down for the 4th time, and you're laughing about it instead of watching the clock. That's not a dramatic before and after photo. That's just what a body with capacity left in it does at the end of a long day. It shows up. Picture the actual date night months from now, where you're not silently doing math about how tired you'll be tomorrow, because tomorrow doesn't scare you the way it used to. Picture your kid years from now telling someone that their dad was the strong one, the steady one, the one who never seemed to run out of energy when it mattered, and knowing that memory exists because of decisions you made starting this week, not some vague hope that things would eventually get better on their own. Picture the family trip you've been putting off because you weren't sure your body could keep up with it. The hike, the beach day that turns into an hour of being thrown around in the waves. The vacation where the fun happens standing up instead of from a folding chair on the sidelines. Picture saying yes to that trip without the quiet, private worry about whether you'll be the reason everyone has to slow down or cut the day short. Picture being the parent who suggests the extra hour on the trail instead of the one quietly hoping someone else calls it early. Picture the small, unglamorous moment that actually changes a marriage, not a grand gesture, just you offering to carry something heavy without being asked, taking the late shift with a sick kid without visibly running on empty, showing up as a partner with something left to give at the end of the day instead of an apology for having nothing left. That's not a dramatic transformation story. That's just what capacity looks like lived out in a Tuesday. Picture the version of you who takes the stairs without a second thought, who lifts the heavy end of the couch without warning his back first, who can chase, carry, wrestle, and still have something left over for the people who matter most after the sun goes down. None of that requires becoming a different person. It just requires becoming the version of yourself your body already knows how to be if you give it a reason to remember. That man isn't a stranger. He's the one you saw in the mirror this morning, buried under a decade of convenience, waiting for a reason to come back.
This isn't about vanity, and it was never about a six-pack or a stage-ready physique. It's about whether the man your family depends on can actually meet the moment when it matters. Right now, for a lot of good fathers, the honest answer is, I'm not sure. 4 weeks from now, it doesn't have to be. I've sat with enough fathers at the start of this to know exactly what's going through your head right now. Some version of, I know I need this, but I've said that before. That's fine. You don't need to trust yourself completely to take the first step. You just need to trust the process enough to give it 4 weeks, the same way Marcus did, the same way James did, the same way every man who's ever stood exactly where you're standing did, right before he stopped being the man in that story and started being the one telling it. 4 weeks isn't a big ask. It's a Tuesday to Tuesday commitment that most men waste anyway. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature. The link to the 4-week Silverback Transformation is right below this video. If you're trying to father who reads this far and already knows the answer, don't sleep on it tonight. Go start. And if this hits something in you, subscribe to stay close to this channel, because next I'm going to show you the single biggest mistake fathers make in week 1 that quietly sabotages the entire transformation before it starts, and exactly how to avoid it before you ever begin. I'm Dr. Aris Thorne. This is Primal Unleash. Go reclaim your nature, starting today, 1 session at a time.